July, covering all things professional wrestling. A show by members of the Busted Open Nation. Welcome to the Nation's Corner. Here are your hosts, the Nation's Corner crew.
Yo, what's up, pro wrestling fans? Welcome to the Nation's Corner. I am Front Row, joined by Debhausen, the Great and Powerful, and Mongrovian Mike out on Long Island. What's up, guys?
What's happening?
Up? What's up? I had to take my glasses off, the reflection.
Let me check my contacts out, see if that works. So, another week of like all kinds of cool shit going on. And It's like every time something big happens, something bigger happens, and then it sort of gets pushed around. So, I know we're going to talk about The Rock. We're going to get there. But I wanted to talk to you guys about my favorite thing this week. Is one of my favorite things that's been going on for a while now. This partnership with TNA and NXT across both brands, across social media. It's one of the most fun things that I've seen in a long time. So just like high level, like what are you guys enjoying? How are you feeling about the partnership so far?
For me personally, I feel like since the announcement of like the formal partnership, I think it's gotten a lot better. I thought before that it was a little lopsided. Like we had some, hot TNA people going to NXT, but the NXT talent that was coming to TNA, I felt wasn't quite at the same level. And now I feel like it's a little bit more even. We're getting some of the really, really great talent crossing over back and forth, and NXT or TNA doing some actual live shows is really, really helping with that. We've discussed before that them being taped might hinder a little bit the NXT talent showing up on TNA. But the show that we saw on Thursday night live at Full Sail was just pretty awesome as far as kind of the talent trade going back and forth.
I would agree, Mike.
It's amazing. It's amazing what's going on, and little by little, like you said, we're getting bigger and bigger talents, and now we're seeing, pretty soon we're gonna get Fraxium against the Hardy Boys soon, and it's all building up. We've seen Obafemi and Moose face off each other. It really is good that what's going on. A lot of good things going on in wrestling with the crossovers. All the companies are putting on banger shows, and we're doing great. We had the Grand Slam in Australia was awesome. That was an awesome collision show, and from that on, it's been a whirlwind week. The Rock showing up. And just a lot of great shit going on. People thinking the bloodline was going to slow down. It was slowing down, and then all of a sudden now you're seeing all this other stuff happen. We're in WrestleMania season, and shit's going to get crazier as it goes.
Yeah, I will say with the TNA stuff, my only criticism I'd say is I feel like TNA is in a little bit of a flux period. They've lost some of their big name stars. Jordan Grace went over to WWE, and I think that TNA is almost in like a weird spot at the moment where there's a lot of changes happening in the company, roster changes, and especially with the NXT people coming in. I almost feel like in a way they've lost their identity a little bit. As someone who TNA was probably my favorite show the past year. And I feel like that's my only critique is I feel like TNA is kind of just NXT Part 2. And I think that they just have to kind of figure out what the new TNA looks like. But I'm not saying it's bad. It's great.
And so Dirty said too, all the focus has been on NXT folks. But here's the balance, right? Because our previous criticism was that TNA wasn't being given enough big stars from NXT, that the partnership was lopsided. But now that the big stars, I mean, we had the NXT World Champion Obafemi on TNA Live TV this week. So now they're bringing the big stars. We saw No Quarter Catch Cruz challenge the Hardys. Hardys are going to NXT next week. First time the Hardys have been in an NXT ring as TNA talent. Maybe ever. I'm not sure. I don't know that the Hardys ever wrestled in NXT. I could be wrong, but I don't remember that. But anyway, there's all this. But the big names from both brands are crossing over.
Yeah.
And when that happens, there is kind of a melding of the stories, and I get what you're saying about the identity. I think two things are happening right now. They lost Jordan Grace and Josh Alexander. And Nick Nemeth is out. He's suspended. So you've got
they lost Speedball.
Right.
Which was a big part of what I loved about TNA the past year.
I do think they're doing something really smart by having Ryan coming out and talking about his brother every week.
Yes.
Reminding you, keeping his name out there, which is important, I think.
But yeah, I would say that's my only criticism, and I'm sure they'll figure it out. But that's been my only apprehension about the partnership is I just didn't want TNA to become practically the fourth WWE show. Which, you know, some weeks I feel like that's happening, but like it's hard. It's tough.
Yeah, and they definitely have their own identity, like historically, right? I think it's had one of the things that we've said that they've done right is that they found their lane and they're really good at it. They're not trying to be anybody else.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I can see how like mixing the rosters up a little bit will kind of dilute that, but they'll get there, I think.
I'm sure they will.
But from a fan's perspective, you know, we're watching NXT and all of a sudden Moose shows up. And we've said on this show forever that we wanted to see Moose and Obafemi in a ring together. Well, that happened. They had a face-off. And then, you know, Oba's like, hey, you came over and invaded my space. I'm coming to your spot. And so, so the world, you know, the NXT World Champion shows up on TNA and everyone's like, well, this is amazing. We don't know what's off limits. Like nothing's really off limits at this point. There's even like speculation, and we kind of joked around about it, but could John Cena make a stop there? Maybe. But you know, like
I mean, Joe Hendry has been calling him out.
Exactly. And that was a stupid statement a year ago, and now you're going, no, there's like a 60% chance it might happen. Like
yeah, speaking of Joe Hendry, we saw on Thursday a nice little surprise from Elijah on TNA. And there was a little segment with Joe Hendry. If anybody hadn't seen it, I definitely recommend going and finding that clip. Yeah, it was really great. It was a really great episode of TNA this week, especially with that.
Definitely.
That was really cool to see him because I was such a big fan of his brother in WWE. So this is really working out well for the family.
Right, exactly.
I just want to give a shout out to everybody in the chat. I see RA's in there, Ezra, RJ, Guitar Red, Neil. What else am I missing? There's a bunch of people up the top. A lot of people today. A lot of people in there. I appreciate y'all.
I do. So I want to highlight Neil's comment right here real quick. Getting on a more accessible channel. Yes. And I do feel that this partnership with NXT is something that will probably help them in getting a better deal, a better channel, and getting more visibility. And I feel like that's probably the end game goal for them.
Definitely.
So that's a good point. Like if we look at Raw on Netflix, right? Raw is on a streaming service that's dedicated to that one streaming service.
Right.
TNA is on the TNA Plus app. And I pay, what is it? $6, $7, $8, whatever it is a month. Like it's cheap.
Yeah.
But it's dedicated to that one product. But that streaming service only is dedicated to that product. It doesn't have thousands of movies and TV shows and all this other stuff. So I don't think the streaming, because people say, oh, this should be on regular TV. And those days are gone. Like streaming is regular TV.
Yeah, I think what Neil means is access. It's something
just
on
access.
something that, there are other channels that are on across the board where you could get them on a ton of different apps, but we know that
if they were on HBO Max or they were on a streaming service,
what isn't it?
A
like
bigger
the A&E, like you can't watch LFG on the YouTube TV, right? You have to wait and probably go to
I have it through Philo. I believe Philo and maybe Sling as well has it. So it's the alternatives that you can watch live TV on, basically.
You got to pick and choose. If you can't get everything, and we all can't get everything. Some people do. Some people do. They can afford it, and that, God bless them. That's great. But I can't be affording. So I have to pick and choose. So it's TNA.
Exactly. And speaking of, that's kind of a conversation that I wanted to have as well, is the having to pick and choose. We have all these streaming services that we have to choose from. And a lot of people are getting to the point, especially as price increases keep happening, of, we can't be paying for all of the streaming services. So which one of them do we really want? And I made the decision to cancel YouTube TV after the price increase, which would make it after tax, it would be $90 a month. And, I made the decision because at the beginning of the year, both AEW shows are now on Max, which is something that I already paid for.
Yeah.
Raw is moving to Netflix, which is something I already paid for.
You and Seth can't just not eat for 2 days out of the month and then pay.
2 days?
Oh,
So I came to the decision, like, with the other shows that I specifically used YouTube TV for being available elsewhere on something that I already pay for. Why would I spend $90 a month now when pretty much the only thing I'm using it for is to watch SmackDown? So I made the decision to cancel it. I wasn't willing to pay that much when all the other streaming services I use on a much more daily basis.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, I don't have the ability to watch SmackDown anymore, which sucks, but it just is what it is. And I think a lot of people are in that position where they're really having to decide what's like priority for them.
Well, at least we could all go to YouTube and whatever, like all these places online and see the clips, all the pertinent clips and everything.
Yeah, we can, I keep up with clips and hearing what you guys are talking about and what they're talking about on Busted Open. I keep an eye on, on the Twitter feed and see what people are talking about and watch the clips. But, as we kind of know with other products too, you only get so much from just watching social media clips. You're not getting the full picture of what's happening on the show. So yeah, that's tough, but it is what it is.
Well, and there's ways around that too. Like, I don't have Max, so I get everything that I watch pretty much is either on YouTube TV or Netflix. So for me, I tried any different configuration of streaming services to get the same stuff, and it just ended up being more money. Right. So I'm currently staying with YouTube TV. Now, what I did was I wanted to watch LFG because there's also the social aspect of it too. Like, we as a group watch live TV. So if big stuff is happening, I kind of want to be in the conversation. I don't want to just, that's just me. So, but for the longest time, I didn't watch TNA because it just wasn't my jam. But then you guys were like, no, it got really good. And then I started subscribing and it's really good. But, but I understand that, right? I also, like, with the LFG stuff, all of the streaming services that carried A&E were like another $30, $40, $50 a month. And I'm like, I'm not doubling up. That's stupid. Yeah. So I did a bunch of research and I found this, like, a legit streaming service called Friendly, FRNDLY, NDLY. It's Friendly without the IE. And for $6.99 a month, they had A&E, and it's like the first month's free. So I'm like, all right, I'll subscribe to that for a couple months, watch LFG, and then just cancel. So for $20, let's say, I get to watch the whole season over the course of 3 months.
Yeah.
That's fine.
That's pretty good.
That's affordable. But I'm not spending another $50 a month for one channel. Like you said,
Exactly.
why would I spend $90 a month for one channel?
Exactly. Yeah, for one show, once a week.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have it. I wouldn't have it any other way, man. I like it that we all have choices to all these different. You know, that's a freedom that I don't want. Like if there was someone that just monopolized and had everything, like if everything was on, say, let's just say we love Triller. Let's just say everything was on Triller, then we would be hostage to them every time they want to hike up. You know. If everything was just on YouTube TV, look at how you just said, hey, I'm not paying for, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, so we all have choices. There are times that we're on Zoom, you know, there could be 8 of us on Zoom, just say, you know, and we could all be watching something different, you know.
Right.
Right.
A lot of times we have that choice too. You know, a lot of times even wrestling shows are on top of each other.
Oh my God.
Deb will be watching this show. I'll be watching this one. Everyone else will be watching something else, and
New Japan and GCW and like
I
remember
Neil and Ezra will be up at 3 in the fucking morning watching New Japan.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I posted. I posted this on Blue Sky earlier. I know I'm like the only one in our group that uses Blue Sky, but I like to get the, you know, the feel of the variety of what people are talking about across different platforms. And yeah, I posted this on Blue Sky. It's one of the things that I love about our group of friends is that we all have different preferences. You could ask any of us what our favorite wrestling show is, and you might get 5 or 6 or 7 different answers. And there's nights when we're all sitting down watching something and there might be 3 different shows happening and some people are watching 2 different screens, and so, you know, somebody's watching AEW and giving others updates on that aren't tuning in, and vice versa, like with other stuff.
Like we were talking,
I love that.
Yeah, like we were talking before the show. We were talking about, you know, Grand Slam in Australia. You know, we were worried, you know, and then Dave got us thinking, oh yeah, that's true. You know, this guy's a heel. Is he's gonna get, the heel's gonna get cheered and they're gonna boo it. And then it turned out it wasn't that. And our man ate crow and apologized for it. And
he did.
And Will and everybody were like cool with him with it, you know. But the point I wanted to make was that, you know, we have these problems with say a certain product or whatever, but we're not cheering against it. You know, there are people out there that not the tribals, the toxic people that just want to hate, like they don't want to root for it. And I don't know how many times we got to say we have friends in every company out there. So we want NWA to do well. We want AEW to do well. We want WWE doesn't need anybody's blessing at all, right? Especially right now. So it's like, you know what I mean? It's like we're out there. I'm out there on the independents. I'm giving shout outs on Busted Open today to Gabby Forza, for Mark Henry to check her out, because I know Mark likes the strong women and likes to discover the strong women. And if he gets his eyes on her, he's going to be like, oh boy, we need her. Yeah. And that's what, you know, that's what it's all about, supporting everything, you know?
Yeah.
So I was pleasantly surprised and very happy to see the hot crowd in Australia.
I loved it. It was awesome.
And it was a banger matches from beginning to end. And that's what you need. That's what you need, you know?
So I wanted to bring this up. And let me ask you this. I know we're kind of all over the place with our topics.
Yeah, we are.
So with AEW and,
control front row.
You know, they've been, I think since the beginning of the year, you know, we know that as they announced the upcoming shows and stuff, we had seen that they were going to be in smaller venues, which is something that a lot of people talked about, that kind of going to smaller venues would help them out, get a fuller looking crowd that's more lively. And I think it's really, really been helping. But one thing I noticed is the venues they're going to are kind of like unconventional venues for pro wrestling. And I think that's really cool that every week AEW is in like a different style of venue where maybe the setup has to be a little different just because of the spacing of the place that they're in. And
Yeah,
I
like
think it
Daly's
makes
place,
for
right?
a really unique looking show. Like this past week in Phoenix, the place that they were at looked kind of similar to Daly's place in that it was more of an amphitheater style, that you had the crowd all kind of on one side of the ring, and the ring was kind of on a stage sort of ish. And I think those different style venues look really unique, and it makes the show cooler in a sense. And I did see a few people posting on socials that were at the show in Phoenix, and the venue that it was at had kind of like theater seatings, like full padded armrest, like movie theater seats. And some people I saw posting from the show were like, oh, this is like the most comfortable venue I've ever been in for a wrestling show. This is great. And then they announced that Double or Nothing is going to be in Glendale, Arizona, which is I believe a city that they've never been to before, a venue they've never been to before. So I just think that's great personally, that a lot of people were saying like AEW has to stop just going to the same cities over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And now they are really starting to kind of try out different markets, try out different cities and different styles of venues.
And you have
and
a smaller
I think it's
venue.
making a difference.
Yeah, you get a smaller venue, you get a hotter crowd. You know,
Yeah.
it looks more packed. It looks more packed out. And then what you want is you want to create. Hey, we want more people in the friggin' seats. We want to get into bigger places, not get a big place and then see it empty, because it's very disheartening.
Exactly.
It's very disheartening. You can't. The biggest fan can't ignore it, because it's just something, and that's what you need. You needed that crowd, and Grand Slam was a Grand Slam.
It was fun. It was a fun show to watch.
Yeah,
it was a Grand Slam.
And then that started the week, and then the whole week has just been crazy. So
yeah,
but there's also a piece of that from what you're saying about, like, there's from a marketing perspective, right? So you guys know, we've talked about this a million times. When we were at the first season of Power Tapings, GPB Studios holds 250 people max, and it was maxed out. It was 250 people there. Sounded great.
Yeah.
It sounded like it was supposed to be. But after that first season started airing, GPB Studios took on a life of its own, and people were like, holy shit, I need to be there. So that 250 became 1,000 people trying to get tickets.
Right.
You know, so like if AEW comes to a venue and it's 2,000 people and it's sold out and it's an amazing show, the next time they roll around, 10,000 people are going to try to get tickets.
That's it.
Right.
You want the need. You don't want to get a big venue and say, oh, I hope we sell. You want them to have to get a bigger venue next time we come to this town, because we had that many people, so, and you're right. And part of it was whatever was going on with it is going on. But another part was, like you said, Deb, it's like, how many times are you going to hit Chicago? You burned them out. So,
and the people that live in the cities, and we just know, just from other people that we know that have, gone to shows, like when any product, AEW, WWE, like if they come to your town super frequently, a lot of people aren't going to be able to afford to go to every single show. So if WWE's in town every 2 months, you're not gonna, especially at prices these days, you're not going to be able to go every 2 months. Yeah. So they're not going to be able to get the, like, the full kind of crowd from that specific area, because there's probably going to be a lot of people that are like, oh, I just went there, I can't go to another show right now. I'll wait till next time.
Yeah. And so, speaking of demand, I just wanted to touch on this for a second. So, y'all know we're big fans of WrestleCade. We go every year. This year was amazing. You heard the stories. This past week, the tickets went on sale for the 2025 WrestleCade weekend. It was insane. I was there right at 10 o'clock trying, like, refresh. John and I got our tickets. I'm super excited because within moments that ticket site crashed, and it was crashed for 2 days. It was like it was not crashed to the point where people couldn't buy it, but it was so slow. And I think Dirty also was dealing with the same thing. So but I believe he also got his tickets, which is awesome. I can't wait to meet Dirty in person. But last year, so 2 years ago, they had 8,000 fans. Last year, they had 22,000 fans. They had thousands of people trying to get tickets on the first pre-sale day, the mail order, the email only day.
Amazing.
I can't. So all that to say, Tracy, who runs WrestleCade, said that if they did really, really well, they would start announcing guests right away. Well, apparently they did really well, because this was the first guest announced for WrestleCade this year, Jushin Thunder Liger, which is a huge fucking deal.
Hell yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know who else they're going to announce, but that's a big one to start with. So for all y'all, if you know, all the VIP tickets I think are sold out, but there's still tons of 3-day weekend passes. There's tons of stuff available. So if you are available to go to WrestleCade, I highly recommend it, because it is a very concentrated event and you get to meet and hang out with everybody in the wrestling business. And I will say my Andre Tinfoil hat this year, because the TNA shows have been running there on the Friday nights. This last year was awesome. You guys saw it on pay-per-view. This is the first year that the TNA WWE crossover is official. Typically, we don't see WWE stars at WrestleCade. They don't do meet and greets and signings and stuff like that. I think this is the first year that we'll see NXT stars there. We saw NXT stars there as fans. We met a couple people, Javon Evans and a couple other people were just walking around, but not signing. Right. I think this is going to be the first year that you'll see NXT stars there.
I think you're right.
Or at least performing, you know, because what about the Fanatics? Are they part of? See, like NXT is a little bit separated from that part. Like with WWE,
they're still WWE, so they're still Fanatics.
Yeah, Fanatics.
It's still part of Fanatics, right?
Fanatics is the ones that run all of those meets for like the big, you know, Bianca and Cody and all of those guys, you know.
But they might make exceptions. Like, who knows? We've seen a lot of things happen that we didn't think would be happening. So who knows? I think you are right that there's going to be NXT people there for sure. I remember last year, just as the announcements kept coming like every day of the people that were going to be appearing at the signings or at the shows. Like, I remember you telling us every day about the announcements, that I was like, oh geez, who isn't going to be there? It's like everyone in the entire industry is there at this point. And now the potential to even have NXT people there. And that's just huge. It's kind of taken on a life of its own, that event.
Yeah. Like a few years ago, you were going there, you were there. You know, you told us about it, and oh yeah, it's cool. It was just like another convention. Now it's just like, this is like, you know, it's the equivalent of like getting something it's like the New York Comic-Con at the Jacob Javits Center or something.
Yeah, it feels like the Javits Center.
It's just like it takes on a whole life of its own. It's like a big deal.
Yeah.
And like you said, just the line of people and. Yeah, and all you need is, like you said, you got Jushin Thunder Liger there. Yeah, you know, when you get these couple of people, you know, these couple of big names, like in the Brentwood one, we had Paul Heyman, and he packed the friggin' place out. It was like, thank you for the house, Paul. It was crazy.
Yeah.
When we were in Morristown, Bret the Hitman Hart. Thank you for the house, Hitman. That's what it's like. And
for real, stood
this past time you were there, it was the Hardy Boys, I would say, probably. But in this one, it's like there's like 2, 3, 4 different big names at least that draw like a ton of people. It's insane what you got now.
Yeah.
But I think that points to the. I'm sorry, real quick, just to what you were saying before. I think that points to the strength of the entire industry right now. Like, we're seeing things like LFG. We're seeing like the takeover of the Sunday nights A&E lineup. Those 3 shows on Sunday, and then all of the shows that are on TV, as well as like the independents. And I want to give a shout out to our good friend Todd, who's off to see New South Pro Wrestling tonight. The independent scene is booming.
Yes, the independent scene is really, really booming right now. And I think all of us kind of have different independents that we pay attention to. you know,
but that's what we preach to everybody. You know, wherever you are, you support the locals. You know, so support the local independent shows, and we're lucky enough on in the Northeast here that there's a ton of places like, you know, we got you guys have Dino there, and out down here on the island we got Creator Pro and Victory Pro and other independents. You know, it's insane. NWA is starting to come out here to the island, so it's really hey, listen, JFK said it, and it's the truth. A rising tide lifts all boats.
And it's everywhere. Like, I know out in California, Hijacker goes to the BTW shows.
Big deal.
Our friend Guido in the group, he's on Instagram at spincycle_photography. I wanted to give him a shout out because he's taking a lot of really amazing pictures lately. Everyone go look him up at spincycle_photography. And he goes to his local indies and the MLS games and takes amazing photos.
Yeah, and he partners with his daughter Ruthie. They do a lot of cool stuff together. Ruthie came to Texas and did some coverage for Mission Pro when we were all there together. She's amazing.
Ruthie rules.
Yeah, for sure. So you mentioned it earlier. I wanted to ask you guys about, like, what did you think of the debut episode of LFG?
Oh, yeah. I thought it was incredible. I thought it
fun. Hey, you know
5 stars. 5 stars.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. I think it's like, you know, we had Tough Enough years ago, and this is similar yet different. I think it's definitely giving a different look at what, like, the coaching is like, and just getting people who are in developmental kind of training and ready. And you know, how lucky are these people that they're being trained by the Undertaker? Like, come on.
That's what's amazing about this show. Okay, people have compared to Tough Enough. No, Tough Enough, you had one WWE star that you came in and you got, you know, you did the Tough Enough didn't give you the biggest friggin' the biggest star of WWE for the past 20 years to train you, you know. And like, some of these people are there a few months, some are there only
it would have been 7 stars if it was in Japan.
A few weeks, you know, you don't know, but it's amazing. And that is the lightning rod to watch this show is the Undertaker. And we're calling the Undertaker. You're really getting to meet really getting to meet Mark Callis, the man wearing his Dixon friggin' flannel and you know, coming in there on his motorcycle and just coming in, and you're like, you don't even know how to put the friggin' ring together yet, and you have the Undertaker friggin' training you, man. That's amazing. And we say it all the time. Now that he's finally come to grips and left the Undertaker gimmick and persona is gone. This guy is the most interesting fucking guy out there, man. He really funny.
Is.
He is funny. He is knowledgeable, and it's just amazing hearing him. I wish I was a 20-year-old to be able to join that and be, you know, get a peek behind the curtain from Undertaker and of course Bully and Mickey. It's not even to diminish the other 3 superstars on there, you know.
Yeah.
But it's
so
just
speaking
like,
of that,
is just amazing.
I think just real quick, I think we've had that opportunity to see Bully in action. We've seen Mickey because we've been Busted Open fans for so long. Of course, we've seen Booker training. We've seen him do all that stuff through Reality of Wrestling. But Undertaker in this role is new for us as fans. And I think that his excitement this week when the young lady that picked him as a coach, the Olympic gold medalist, he was so excited. He was like, yes. I'm like, okay, I'm good.
Not even to mention when he was there on the interview with Bully and Ricky Starks came out, Ricky Saints came out. Now we now know it's Ricky Saints, but he was like, hey, that's Ricky Starks, and like, and then Bully's like, hey, we had him on, so that's amazing. Like, because, I mean, just to see someone 30 years in the business, the biggest wrestling persona that, the last wrestling persona to stick to that gimmick ever.
Yeah.
And to see him like light up, to see someone that we know and love, it's like amazing. We're like, holy shit, he knows Ricky Starks. It's so,
I know,
so great. So great.
So two things. Yes, hearing the Undertaker tell that story about the first time he met Ricky Starks and trained with him a little bit and trained with Michelle and told that story. That just blew my mind right there.
Yeah.
Number two. So there was a moment, if you remember, was it earlier this week? I can't even remember what it was. When Mickie James was on Busted Open. And I miss Mickie James on Busted Open. I really do. I know she's incredibly busy, but I miss hearing her voice. It really, really struck me how she kind of said a couple times, like little things like, she felt like she wasn't on equal footing with the likes of Bully and Booker and Taker. And I really, really loved Bully stopping and taking a moment and being like, no, like you deserve to be on equal footing with us. You are that good. And so to me, that was really awesome to hear, because I feel like people like Mickie don't get enough props for how great they have been. And yes, she is a legend alongside of Bully and Taker and Booker, and she belongs there.
Well, and that was interesting, because Bully said Hunter picked you. Triple H handpicked you for this role. Out of all of the people he could have chosen to be alongside these other three legends, you were the top of that list. So you obviously belong in this group.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. And she does.
Yeah. And I personally, I liked hearing that as a woman, because sometimes I think that women still, unfortunately, aren't given enough respect. Like, people acknowledge some things that women have done, but oftentimes they're still not in equal conversations as the legends that are men. So for me personally, that meant a lot.
Yeah, and I can totally see that. And I also think that, like, there's the Undertaker and the other three. Like, in the pecking order of legends on the show, there's Undertaker, and then there's, like...
Yeah, he's the linchpin, definitely. He's
He's the biggest... I mean, they're all going to defer to him.
Getting people to that show.
Right.
Of course.
He's fascinating.
And he's the name that pretty much everybody in the world knows.
Right. But I loved watching the preview for this week, because they showed Mickie in there rolling around. We've all seen her wrestle live. We've had the opportunity to spend a little bit of time with her in the NWA. She's awesome. She's amazing. So to see her in there working with the young talent, not only just rolling around doing moves, but actually talking psychology, and here's why we're doing this. And then there's the preview of the Undertaker working with his student, and she's hitting him, and they're doing the... Like, man, I just can't wait to see this episode tomorrow. It's going to be so cool.
Yeah.
I'm very interested in the show.
Yay, boo. Yay, boo.
Yeah. Okay, so I have mixed feelings. I have feelings, as Sam would say. We have feelings. By the way, just as a side note, I love what he's done recently, where Sam Roberts has sort of stopped doing analysis and reaction and just feelings. We're all about the moments that wrestling gives us and how we're processing it and how we're reacting, which to me is a good way of going around tribalism. Like, it's a good vehicle of saying, well, do you like it or not like it? Like, does it make you happy or sad or angry, or do you not care? And it takes away the opinion of, well, this sucks because they botched a move or whatever. Like, that stuff's stupid. But I like the approach of, like, okay, what were you feeling when you saw that? Like, what were you thinking in the moment? Were you excited that this person won? So when we start to talk about last night with The Rock, when the announcement was made, I was like, okay, we're all excited. We were all watching along, getting ready to enjoy the ride The Rock is taking us on. It felt more like a beginning of a ride, like maybe the queue. I don't think we really got the ride.
Kind of uncomfortable. Felt uncomfortable after a couple of minutes. Like, front row, man, I could have a heart-to-heart conversation with you. I love you like a brother, but I'm not gonna touch your face and caress your face. I'm not,
You also don't tend to repeat yourself 6 times. Like, okay,
I'm lucky
if
I can get a fucking cogent sentence out. What do you just repeat it? If I repeated it, I'd say something different every time.
You would.
Ezra, no, we're not doing emergency pods after our own shows.
I don't have the mental capacity for that. Come on.
We need the siren.
However, Sam and Dave did both did reaction pods, which I still need to listen to. But we did listen to part of the Busted Open one last night. But
I listened to Dave's. It was very short. It was only about 13 minutes, maybe less once you got rid of the ads.
Oh, okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
So a couple things. I saw a lot of reaction online. People said, "Oh, it sucked," and blah blah blah. I'm like, well, it did a lot of things. It opened a lot of doors for storyline for me because, and Rock said it in the press conference. He said, "In our business, everything ends up in the ring, but it doesn't have to if the story's right." And I think it's an interesting way to get a story with Rock and Cody that doesn't have to be physical this time. It's about the Rock's trying to get Cody to do stuff maybe that he's not comfortable with the promise of a reward. So it raises a lot of questions. We don't know what he's promising him. It was very general terms. Like, I'm going to bring you here. I'm going to make you famous. I'm going to do all these things. But like, what is the reward? Is it a seat on the board? Is it a position in WWE? Is it money? Is it fame? Like, what is it? Because Cody's already the champion. He's already the top of the industry. So what above that is the Rock promising him?
He wants his soul.
He said that. He said that. But okay, so let me ask you this. We've seen this story with like Seth Rollins. We've seen this story with Vince McMahon and Stone Cold.
And Vince McMahon and Stone Cold. Vince McMahon and The Rock even at one point. But the biggest go-to would be the Vince McMahon Stone Cold storyline, which is it's similar to that, but it's not, because obviously, it's totally different characters wise, but it's the same thing. It's the boss wanting to flex on the people, the help, the low workers, the peons around. And
the peons.
Yeah, but it's also very interesting though, because it's like, I want your soul. He's like seducing him into the powerful lifestyle of, you're just a millionaire. Don't you want to be a billion? Like, he's like, right, like that. Like, what was he saying? Like, the Rock's up here. You're here. The Rock's up here. The Rock wants you up here, or whatever he was saying. Because I was already creeped out by. I thought he was gonna break out some P. Diddy baby oil or something. I don't know. But anyway.
But you notice he did these little flexes. He was like being like super baby face guy, but then he would say, "You have a lot of followers. The Rock has 500 million followers."
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah, it was
he
very
constantly
weird. It was
reminded
like, hey,
you.
Look at our mothers love each other now, even though I slapped the shit out of you last year. And what just like all these it's all backhanded comments, but
yeah.
But
you're really good.
It is. Like Mark was saying earlier on the show. He was saying earlier today. He was saying, The Rock is the snake. The Rock is Satan saying, here, eat the apple. He's the snake saying, eat this apple when you were told don't eat it. And so it's kind of strange, but I will reserve judgment on it, because it did get a little weird. But
yeah,
I think that's what they wanted. Because Cody looked very uncomfortable. So
he did,
I think
from what
that's
I
what
saw,
they wanted. I don't think they wanted mad or your typical feelings. I'm mad at you for saying that, and I'm going to kick your ass. No, it's different.
So one thing I wanted to bring up that I found kind of funny is and this is why I like to kind of flip back and forth between Twitter and Blue Sky to see what different people are saying. I saw a bunch of people on both apps equating their level of confusion to the Death Riders. I saw a bunch of people saying that, and I know that everybody's been confused about the Death Riders for a while, I totally get it.
I have
faith.
I have faith in the Rock
me,
story.
It kind of does feel like almost the same type of we have to just wait and see. And like you said, Front Row, opening the possibilities for where it could go. We don't really know what's happening or what any of this means.
We could have crossovers now. I mean, we've had it. Let's have a crossover. Let's get it out there. We need WWE and AEW crossover. First off, we need when Moxley finally opens up that fucking briefcase, he pulls out a ham sandwich, and then Otis walks on and goes, "Oh, there's my ham sandwich," and takes it. Right?
Oh my God!
Then you got the second one. The number one thing I want is I want a crossover match. I want the Mercedes Moné doll to invade the SmackDown and go after the Lily doll. So
yes,
that's what And right off the bat, the Moné doll is much more. It's better. I'll just say that. I like the Moné doll better.
Yeah, plain and simple. It's better. It is.
Yeah.
And not only because Harley Cameron has to insert her hand into it. So. Sorry. Hey, she said that too.
True.
I'm only quoting Harley.
But I did
that Moné doll might need some baby oil.
Harley Cameron's the best performer in AEW. She's the most entertaining, hands down.
I love her.
Absolutely.
She's fascinating. You know what got me? You really hooked me was the ventriloquism. I said, I don't get a fucking lips move. Well, that's what I look for, man. Once I see your fucking lips moving, get the fuck out of here. I want you like that guy that had the old lady. Remember him? What was that? I can't forget that. And he drink the water and still talking. That's what I want to see.
You're talking Lamb Chop? Oh no, you're talking.
She was awful, man. She moving like crazy.
Oh my God.
I slap her and friggin' get some mint jelly for that lamb chop.
Oh my God. Okay. Anyhow.
Sorry, Leo.
Anywho. So okay. So but it does open up a lot of possibilities because the corruption of Cody is going to be slow. I think Cody's going to definitely push back on this for a long time. He mentioned he was the people's champ. He didn't say people's. He said, I'm the champion of the people. Like, these are my, all that stuff. And Rock's like, yeah, these are your people. This is great. But like, I want to get you here. So I think Rock is going to have Cody do things that are going to make him uncomfortable to start with. It will eventually become more and more to where you may see Cody defending his title at WrestleMania successfully, and then just Rock says, no, like Silver or Kreese, no, finish it. Get back in there and finish it. And then he bloodies somebody up, right? You could have the ending of night one be Cody bloodying up, whoever wins the Elimination Chamber. There's a lot of interesting things that they could do. And the other thing that I really like about this storyline is it doesn't have to end at Mania. This isn't a short term, this isn't a small window. This evolution of the Cody Rock story, and they don't have to end up in the ring. Not right now. They could be next year. That's not a now problem. To me, that's a months and months, because you don't want to have this happen. I hate the idea of like a month later somebody's completely turned. No, it has to be slow. It has to be methodical.
What
and then like we saw the Rock.
What did The Rock announce? WrestleMania 42.
42.
That's the culminate. There's the point that it's only started. This is only starting now, and who knows? It's going to go beyond 42, probably. You know. But yeah, I mean,
yeah,
we're looking at New Orleans. Something special is going to be happening there. Otherwise, why would they have The Rock announce it and then do this long weird interlude with with Cody?
So one thing I wanted to bring up is that post-show press conference last night after SmackDown. I didn't turn it on right away because we were having a conversation on Zoom, and I didn't want my brain to explode trying to listen to too many voices at once. But I did turn it on at one point, and I just personally felt like there's a weird disconnect. Like, we've seen a lot the past, year or so since Rock came back, that he kind of floats in and out of character all the time. We've seen this a lot.
Yep.
However, I felt it was a little bit of a disconnect that he was just on SmackDown and like he was in and out of character there, but then like did the whole I want your soul thing. And then 10 minutes later, he comes on the press conference and is just casually sitting there talking about like business stuff. Like, oh, I think me and Cody are going to do great business. I'm excited for what we've got going on here. I think it was just like a weird disconnect. Like, we just saw you cut this
that's
promo,
why I think
like the storyline based stuff, and then you're just sitting there kind of casually talking about like, I don't want to sound like that person that's like, oh, you broke kayfabe, but you broke kayfabe.
Well, but I think
want.
But I think what they're doing is for Cody to take advantage of whatever The Rock is going to offer him down the road. Cody's already the biggest star in the industry. He's already at the top of the food chain. He's already the guy in WWE. There's nothing above him right now.
Yeah.
So for The Rock, the character, the final boss, to offer him something, it has to be business-wise or reality-based. So now The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, goes on that press conference and he's like, that was a show, and now I'm doing business and I'm answering stuff. And at some point, he's going to go, okay, Cody, I'm going to show you how to do this. We're going to get on the plane together and we're going to go to Wall Street. We're going to go, there's going to be footage of them doing stuff in real life. But you can't tell a story with Cody that offers him anything that he doesn't already have. So the only thing The Rock has to offer is actual reality-based rewards, in my mind.
I don't know. I just feel like there's a disconnect. I feel like there's a disconnect between what's going on as part of the story that they're telling and then this out-of-character stuff where he's just Dwayne sitting there telling stories about the old days and talking about how he's excited for the business that they're about to do.
Yeah, but
and
he's also
how
out
they
there.
were chumming it up, drinking tequila. Like,
he's also out there when he comes out to the crowd. I just think
it's a disconnect to me. Like, I don't, and because they don't typically do press conferences after SmackDown, so I felt like it was a big deal that they were promoting The Rock's appearance on SmackDown and then tune into the post-show press conference. I felt like it would be like more specific storyline oriented, like in character, rather than him just casually sitting there telling stories.
Yeah, we're never gonna get the CM Punk with the donuts and cursing out all the reporters. We're never gonna get that kind of press conference again.
I'd
rather that.
I know, it was so much fun. It was so much fun, but then we would be those toxic fans wanting to see things implode.
I'd rather CM Punk sitting there eating donuts, talking about what the fuck ever.
I work with fucking children. I'm hurt. I'm tired.
But last year we watched this documentary about WrestleMania, and The Rock was there talking about how he had all this great plan, the greatest match for him and Roman, and they decided as a team, they pivoted and all this other stuff, and it was all real life, and they changed the business direction based on Cody's fans. That part of it did happen. Like they did change the plans based on Cody's fan base rebelling against the rumored
Dave.
But all of that became part of the story. All of that became part of The Rock's entire narrative about why he's an asshole using his power to get what he wants.
That's it.
I think,
I'm waiting for the worm. I'm waiting for the worm to turn in this apple, and it will.
Yeah,
probably.
I'm sure. I just kind of feel like a little bit part of me kind of feels like they do these things sometimes just to get people to tune into something, and then it's like a nothing.
Yeah, I could see that.
Like there was nothing. The post-show press conference we watched last night was not must see. We didn't need to watch.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah. But what they did do is set up a Rock and Cody face-off at Elimination Chamber. And I saw people online, people were stupid. They're like, oh, Rock's going to be in the chamber. They're like, no, he just said he was going to confront, come to Cody and ask him for his answer. He had nothing about being in the match.
Listen to something and made assumptions? No. You're kidding.
Yes, Seth's right.
Yeah, almost like TK's huge announcements. We busted on TK so much for his weekly huge announcements, which he hasn't done in a long time, by the way.
Thank God.
We, every week TK has a big announcement, and then it was like something so silly that could have been a social media post. And I kind of feel like this is what's happening now. Like we're getting these, tune in for this. You don't want to miss this. And you were like, well, I didn't need to watch that.
Yeah, that could have been an email.
Yeah. Right. That's what I feel like. That's my 2
I get you. Well, I think folks are probably going to want to watch Collision if it's on tonight,
yes.
right? I think it's on tonight.
It is on. Real quick, the Collision that will be starting momentarily. We will be seeing Harley Cameron, so that's awesome. We will be seeing Gabe Kidd versus the Butcher.
Yes.
So that's awesome. The Beast Mortos versus Hologram. Yes, please. I want to see the Beast Mortos on every single show. Come on.
He's a beast.
And Queen Amanada versus Julia Hart. I'm looking forward to that. And a Max Caster Open Challenge. So we'll see what happens there. And a couple other things.
Could be our truth. That'd be great. My bad.
I don't think so.
That's my bad.
My bad, dog. My bad.
All right. So, and then we've got Elimination Chamber coming up. We've got TNA. What was the name of the next pay-per-view?
I don't remember.
Hang on, I had it here a second ago. Anyway, it's
Under Siege 2, the Dark Territory.
Yeah. Anyway, that has Cora Jade's challenging Masha Slamovich for her Knockouts title, and I am very excited about that.
Roadblock?
No. All right, somebody in the chat probably has it already. No, it's not Revolution. That's
Revolution.
That's the AEW show.
That's AEW.
Which Revolution is shaping up to be a great show. Yes.
Sacrifice.
Thank you, Az. Yes. Yeah, we have a lot of big shows coming up. Speaking of, real quick before we sign off, last night I was extremely happy to see that GCW announced a show in Philly, in Chester, at the Harrah's Casino in Chester. GCW presents the Philly Special Sunday, April 6th. I got tickets. We're going. I'm super excited to go to my first GCW show.
That's awesome.
I'm so fucking excited. You guys have no idea.
All right. Collision is starting off hot, everybody, too. I'll tell you right now.
Okay. We'll take your word for it. Okay.
I'm watching right now.
All right.
See,
That
we
works,
watch
people.
wrestling. We don't just talk about it. We watch it.
We watch it all. We watch
just
everything
report
that
on
we
the-
possibly can.
Yeah,
And
we
yes,
don't just
thank
read
you,
the internet.
Neil. Thank you, Neil. Thank you, Neil, for sending me the post and letting me know. And I jumped right on that. Yeah.
Awesome.
All
Very
right.
cool.
I am at That's So Debonair on the Twitter machine, the Instagram, the bluest of skies. Find me everywhere.
Mike?
Mongrovian Mike. I'm around. I'm there.
Nice. I am PW Front Row, and you can find us at Nation's Corner on X, at The Nation's Corner everywhere else. Man, I don't know what this week's going to bring, but it's going to be a super fun week, and I'm here for it. So, y'all, everybody have a great week. We'll talk to you again next Saturday. Later.
Yeet.